My name's Ben, and today we're going to talk about one more time why small and simple things actually do matter. A couple of years ago in banking, I came across a concept that I couldn't help apply to everything else in life, and I wanted to share it with you. Now, this idea has been shared in a lot of different ways by a lot of different people, but here it is. In banking, there's something called deal creep. It's when you go out and you source a complex loan contract or a potential contract, and throughout the process, even though in the beginning it was something very specific, something that you thought for sure was going to fit within the confines of what you could approve credit-wise, what made sense for the bank and for the customer, over the course of trying to get the deal done, over the negotiation with the business or the individual or internally within the bank, things start to arise that cause the deal to change. And sometimes they can be very small things with very large consequences. This is why in a loan negotiation, if you start out in a certain way, sometimes what you actually end up with at the end, 30 days later, 60 days later, or 6 months later, might be different from what you originally intended as a banker, as a customer, or whatever. And this concept, again, is called deal creep. So how does this relate to everyday life? Well, sometimes in life, we make a series of small decisions that don't look like they're going to have a long-term effect. But over the course of time, these small decisions add up to have massive effects. There are lots of people out there who have talked about this. Dieter F. Uchtdorf uses an example of piloting a plane. If you're flying an aircraft from one place to another and your course is off by only a couple of degrees, that can mean a difference of hundreds, if not thousands of miles, depending on the length of the flight and the time that you go on that wrong course. Well, it's the same thing in life. Sometimes we make a series of small decisions on a daily basis that add up to have compounding effects. If you haven't read The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, go get it, go check it out. Talks about the same thing, basically how a series of small decisions add up to big consequences. So how do you prevent deal creep? How do you keep yourself from making a couple of small decisions that may not be necessarily unethical or immoral, but may not be the best decision for that given period of time? I think it comes down to first defining what is your baseline. What are you willing to accept? And where, in fact, are you going? Because if you can identify where long-term you want to arrive, it's pretty easy to reverse engineer it and think about, okay, well, if a year from now I want to save $50,000 in cash, that means I need to save approximately $4,000 in cash a month, a little bit more, what, $4,300 or something, $4,200. And beyond that, it also means that I need to be disciplined about the activities to make that extra money. So if you can define where you're going, it then becomes much easier to look at on a daily basis what your small actions are that are adding up to that long-term consequence that you may want to have or a long-term consequence that you may want to avoid. One more thing I'll touch on here is that we do not understand as human beings the power of small decisions on a daily basis because we do not get immediate feedback for those small decisions. The example I love, Darren Hardy gives this example. He says, if every time we saw someone eat a cheeseburger, they dropped over dead of a heart attack, the rate of cheeseburger consumption would go down significantly for obvious reasons, right? Well, it doesn't happen that way. People have to eat a lot of cheeseburgers over a long period of time to have those negative health effects. And the same holds true for most of your daily habits. So I'm not saying to stop drinking the $4 latte. I'm not saying that you need to exercise an extra 30 minutes a day. What I'm saying is figure out where you actually want to arrive and then look at the daily activities that you have programmed, that you have decided that you're going to make habits. Do they align? Because we live in 24-hour periods, right? We can't live in a period of a year. We can't think about that. The feedback is takes too long. The cycle's too long. But if you can boil it down to one day, and then take that one day and look at the activities, you start to realize what you're building yourself up to in the future. If you decide that you want to learn a special skill, let's say you want to learn a language. I'm currently in the process of learning Romanian. It is frustrating beyond all belief, just like every time someone learns a language, it can be frustrating. But I know that if I program half an hour a day to study language, that over the course of 6 months to a year, I'm going to be relatively fluent. And that's the same with just about any other activity or any other goal that you eventually want to achieve. So that's it. Don't let the deal creep. Don't let your life creep on you. Figure out on a daily basis what are the small activities that you're doing that are going to add up, and are they going to get you where you want to go? Have a great week. See you later.